Welcome to my series on pet care, or rather, care of our companion animals. Now, St. Francis of Assisi, of the sky, than having a large flight cage and going in and being to love and to appreciate.
Those are the sounds of exciting birds, happy, communicating with each other. Hi, I'm Steve Applebaum, and this is Ruby, Scarlet Macaw.
Hi, I'm Marianne Milstein, and this is Jonathan, a male Echollectus parrot. And this is Tonto, a hawkhead parrot, one of the only parrots that can raise his plume when they're excited or happy or angry. Did you know that from the beginning of time, there's been a close association with man and birds? The Greeks brought back birds and kept them as pets. Alexander the Great brought back the Alexandrian parakeet, and the parrot was named after him. The Romans also kept birds as pets, and they were more valued than some of their best slaves. They were bartered and traded as money. Henry VIII, in addition to having 8 wives, also had an African gray parrot. There's been a renewed interest in birds in the last 10 years. The reason for this being that birds are easy to care for. They're very affectionate and very intelligent. They have less demands than a dog or cat, and you definitely don't have to walk them.
So you're ready to buy a bird? How about asking yourself a few questions first? Like, how big is your house or apartment? How much room do you have? I'm sure you don't want to buy a large bird if you have a small little area for a small little cage. So I'm sure you have to think a little bit about that.
Also, Steve, if you live in an apartment, you don't want a noisy bird. Certain types of birds are very noisy, and therefore your selection in a bird would mean something in that setting.
How about price? You can buy a parakeet, a finch, for as little as $5. And conures, lovebirds, they go up to $200, $250.
After the lovebirds, the next price range would be your cockatiels, then your conures. After your conures, the price range would be your Amazons, your lories. Then we go into the cockatoos and the macaws, which can range up to $10,000 for a hyacinth macaw. Now you have to decide if you want a talking or a singing bird. Birds that talk require much more attention than singing birds. And this is a choice that you're going to have to make because the price range also varies. And the type of birds that do talk are your cockatiels, your conures, your macaws, and your Amazon parrots.
Marianne, maybe you would prefer a singing bird, like a canary. There's all different types of canaries, ranging from a very minimal price of $30, working all the way up to $150, depending on the species of bird that you would like. Also, finches and cockatiels will sing for you, but not as good as a canary.
They're great whistlers, cockatiels, too.
Maybe some of you would like an affectionate bird rather than a singing bird or a talking bird. Cockatoos would be your most affectionate bird, but again, they're also very expensive.
If you expect to train a bird, there are 2 ways that you would want to approach this. Buy a bird that's already trained by someone else, or select a very young bird, preferably a domestic hand-fed bird. These birds have only been reared by human hands, and they seek to do everything that you want to for approval. The cockatoos are the most lovable and easily trained because they seek affection and crave attention at all times. If you want a bird like a finch that's going to sit on your finger, forget about it, because they are little tiny birds and they fly around and they are not finger birds at all. The same way that lovebirds, if they're young, will sit on your finger as a cockatiel or a conure.
Marianne, you could also have to consider the lifestyle. I mean that if you have a big bird, it's going to take a little more time and patience as compared to a finch or a cockatiel, which could be left in the cage all day.
That's very true, but also, Steve, you have to remember, too, if you want a talking bird requires a great deal of time and patience and spend with it. If you have the type of lifestyle that you travel and you're never home, then this type of bird would be something that you may want to reconsider.
The first bird you might consider in buying is a finch. One of the least expensive birds of all the birds. As you can see, they're very colorful. You don't need a very large cage, although we do think that you should be in a fairly large cage for them to have enough room to fly around in. As you can see, there's all different kinds of finches in this cage. You can put as many as you like, as long as the cage is large enough for them to fly freely in. They're considered an aviary bird, meaning it's a free flight bird and they like to fly a lot with inside the cage. The males are always the colorful ones, more colorful so than females. They need very little care, very little space. Birds of this nature do not like to be finger trained. It's mainly a cage bird. They're not really recommended for children because of this. They happen to be a little nervous and they do scare very easily. They average in the range of 2 to 3 inches, most of them staying within that size. Like I said, they could be very inexpensive, but there are some that range in price to the hundreds of dollars.
Canaries are beautiful birds known for their song, especially in the male. There are 3 different types of canaries that you may want to choose from. One for color, and one for song, and one for featheration. The males will not sing until they're at least 9 months old, and they must be separated from other males, or therefore they won't sing. It's okay to keep a female with the male, they'll sing then. When you purchase a canary, you must have a large enough cage for them so that they can move around. But the bars must be thin enough that they don't slip out and injure themselves and get stuck between the bars and break their wings. As you can see, this is a long cage that they have plenty of flight space. The finch cage, a lot of people will purchase a cage too small. Finches, even though they're very, very tiny birds, need a very large cage to fly around in. And the bars must also be very thin so that they don't slip out and injure themselves also. Take a look at this cage. This cage is a perfect size for canaries. Not only is it large enough that gives them adequate flight space, the bars are close enough that the canary does not slip through the bars and injure themselves and escape. Canaries are one of the most popular birds. They're easy to care for. They're always grateful. They express their thanks with a beautiful song. They are just absolutely beautiful to watch.
These birds are the most affectionate and easiest to train. These are the parakeets. As you can see, they live very well together and they need very little space. Although, as you see here, it's a big, large cage because we have feather. Birds get along very well together, whether they're the American parakeet or the English budgie. The difference between the two is the English budgie is a much larger bird and is bred mainly for its color. It also lives a little longer than a regular parakeet. Parakeets are very popular among children and they're usually their first pet. They need very little care, they're very easy to train, and they become very well established outside the cage. They're easily finger trained. Parakeets range in many colors. They're very easy to teach to talk, although their vocabulary is not very large, but they do have a vocabulary that is pretty well known amongst all birds. Parakeets are one of the few birds where you can tell the difference between a male and a female. Looking at these 2 parakeets, you can obviously tell the difference between a male and a female. This is a female, has a very brown or light tan syrup right above the beak. The male, dark blue. In an immature bird, they would most likely have a color of a female. Everybody's heard about lovebirds, and everybody thinks that they're very romantic. But lovebirds are very aggressive, very sassy, and can be very mean towards each other. Lovebirds should always be kept as a single bird, in pairs, but never in 3s and 5s. The reason being is that lovebirds are very aggressive towards one another, and the one bird will always be singled out. Lovebirds are very, very noisy, and we recommend that lovebirds always be kept in a cage. The reason is it's difficult to train them. Lovebirds are not known for talking, but they can learn a nice whistle or tune. They need very little care, but we do recommend that they have a large enough cage for their flight. Lovebirds like to chew on a lot of different things. In other words, if you have them out of the cage, they might have a tendency to chew your furniture, your shoes, your fingers. So they're mostly kept in the cage. Lovebirds come in a variety of colors. They interbreed with each other, so all the different colors come from interbreeding. They are very inexpensive, But again, they're mainly a caged bird, and we don't recommend them to be outside of the cage. When purchasing a cage for your bird, there are a few things that you should remember. The food cup and the water cup should be large enough for your bird's head to fit in, meaning that the bird has enough ample space to get at the seed and the water, and that there should be enough room for enough seed for the day. Also, the perches should be large enough for your bird, meaning the larger the bird, the larger the diameter of the perches. There should be at least 2 or 3 perches of different diameters in the cage for the bird. This gives the bird a more comfortable feeling when sitting on the perches. The bird likes the variety of the different types of perches, and you also have to remember that if the bird is not comfortable on the perch, he's not going to sit on the perch. He will also have a tendency to fall down if it's not the right size perch for him. If you're looking for a great conversation with a bird, why don't you start with an Amazon parrot? The Amazon parrots are one of the best talking birds of all the birds. As you can see, they're not very colorful. It's a mainly green bird. Some have red, yellow, but most people buy the Amazon parrots for their talking ability. They're very easy to train if they're bought young. When buying a parrot, we recommend you buy a young, tame, domestic bird rather than an old imported bird. You will be more successful in training it and teaching it to talk, as older birds are more stubborn in their ways and are more difficult to teach. As you can see, the Amazon parrot is a larger bird as compared to your other caged birds. Amazon parrots do very well outside the cage on open perches, as long as you're home to supervise them. Never leave a bird by itself without you being home. The cage also should be large enough for the bird. The bird does not need enough room to fly, but the cage should be large enough for the bird to spread its wings open and exercise. As you can see, the cage dishes are very large, the water and the food. They must be large enough for the bird to put its head in and get the food and the water. As you can see, you can leave Amazon parrots out on open perches. We never recommend that you leave them out in the evenings by themselves, as they could fly off and injure themselves. As long as the bird is under some type of supervision, the bird can be left alone outside. They get along very well on an open perch and are very content being out of the cage. If they're out for a long period of time, the bird should be supplied with a food dish and a water dish on either side of the open perch. And remember, in the evening, or when not at home, the bird should be put back into a closed cage. This is a blue-crowned Amazon. His name is Pinocchio. Blue-crowned Amazons are very easy to train, learn very easily, and have a large vocabulary. As you can see, he's very tame and very affectionate. This is a yellow nape, Charlie. Yellow napes are considered to be one of the best talking birds of all the Amazons. Very popular, very good talker, very affectionate. As you can see behind his neck, which is called the nape, you see a little yellow. That's because Charlie's young. As he gets older and more mature, the yellow will become bigger and greater in size. This is Chi-Chi, a blue front Amazon from Argentina. As you can see, he's very colorful as compared to a yellow nape. They're also considered very good talkers and are very affectionate pets. This is Al, a Mexican redhead. Al right now is very young. As he gets older, he will get more red on his head. These birds are very rare right now, as not many birds come out of Mexico. Mexican redheads are considered one of the very good talkers, but very loud in their voices. This is Joey, a spectacled Amazon, the red, white, and blue bird, also known as a white-fronted Amazon. Spectacled Amazons are the smallest of all the Amazon birds. Their vocabulary is not very good, but as you can see, they're very affectionate and very easy to train. These are the macaws. They're considered the largest of all parrots. As you can see, they're very colorful, but also very large. Macaws, if left alone, can be very destructive in your house. That's why we recommend, no matter how big of a house you have, always keep them in a cage when you're not at home or when they're unattended to. As you can see, their beaks are very large, and their favorite pastime is chewing. macaws are broken down into two categories, large macaws and mini macaws. The mini macaw, it grows only to about 15 to 16 inches, as a large macaw could grow up to 35 to 40 inches. The feature of a macaw, making it a macaw, is the bare patch on its face. So no matter what size the macaw is, whether it's a large macaw or a mini macaw, they both have a bare white patch of skin on their face. Macaws come in all different colors. They range from a price of a few thousand up to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So it depends on your pocketbook and how much you want to spend. You can have a pure breed macaw, such as a blue and gold, and also be bred with another pure breed macaw, and you come up with a hybrid macaw. A hybrid macaw is a cross, and you get different colors, as you see over here. This is a Camelot. It's a cross between a blue and gold and a Catalina. This is how you get the colors. This is a blue and gold. It's a hybrid bird found mostly in South America in the countries of Peru and Venezuela. It's a very large bird. As this bird you see now is a mature bird. This bird is about 3 years old. This is a Catalina macaw. It is a hybrid macaw. It is a cross between a blue and gold and a scarlet macaw, which you see on my shoulder. These two birds, when bred together, you will come up with a Catalina macaw. This is Ruby, our scarlet macaw. As you can see, she's a very large bird, but this is a female. A female is a lot smaller than a male. Scarlet macaws come mostly from Peru and other parts of northern South America. They're on the endangered species list and are very rare. As you can see, they're very colorful and they have a very, very long tail. These birds require a lot of care, attention, and always remember, they need a very large cage. The Camelot, which is also a hybrid macaw, is a cross between two other macaws to bring a third color into the macaw family.
Conures are intermediate birds between a cockatiel and the Amazon parrot. They're also moderately priced, and as you can see, they come in many colors, from a bright orange to a solid green, green with a black head, green with a red head. This is a young bird. It happens to be 11 weeks old. It is a red masked conure. As you can see, he does not have any red on the top of his head. This is what he'll look like when he's an adult. He'll also have small portions of red on his wing and red underneath. Pandora is on my shoulder. She's a sun conure. She is also a baby. She's about 4 months old, and she has not developed her full range of colors also. As she matures, she'll become a vivid orange and bright, bright yellow. These are very young blue crown conures. They're 9 weeks old. They will eventually have a bright blue face with a white eye and the red underneath of the tail. All these babies that I'm showing you are domestic hand-fed babies. And as you can see, that's how you get them so gentle and docile. You can do many things with them. They love to show off and do tricks for you. And they're a nice size bird as a starter bird if you don't want something too big or too small. This is a Nande conure. They have a black head, blue-tipped wings, and it looks like they're wearing shoes and socks. They have red little stockings on their legs with a little yellow band above it, and a blue bib, and a long blue tail. They also have a nice speaking ability. All the conures that I have here with me have the ability to speak, and they're very playful and love to do tricks, and they're easily trained. They're perch trained, and you can leave them out on an open perch, and the more you play with them, the friendlier they become. This is a baby peach front conure. They have light peach on the front of their forehead, and as they mature, it will go into their eye area. They have light yellow and blue underneath their wings, and like a light brown bib. This is a red masked conure. He has a full red head with red on the tips of his wings. When they're young, the red doesn't appear until they're at least 9 months old. Cockatiels are great starter birds. They're a little larger than the parakeet, and they're great pets for children. They are fabulous at whistling. They can whistle whole songs like Yankee Doodle Dandy, She's Coming Around the Mountain. They have limited speech ability, but they talk fairly clearly. They're very affectionate. And as you can see, they are beautiful colors, ranging from white to gray. This is a cinnamon pied. They have very long tails and a surprisingly long wingspan. So they need a fairly large cage to exercise and flap their wings. They have bright orange cheek patches, and they are tame very quickly. They like to be out on perches and stay with you. This is a pied cockatiel. It's a mixture of a white and a gray. They have a bright yellow crest and little orange cheek patches, and yellow on their tails. Hi. And they're very alert and active, and they're quick learners. Now that you've selected your bird, a good rule to follow in purchasing a cage is to have a cage large enough for your bird to spread its wings and flap. Some birds have surprisingly large wingspan. The height must allow adequate space for tail feathers. Remember, your bird will love to play, and the cage must have space for swings, ladders, and toys in addition to the bird. The paint must be non-toxic and contain no lead. Never use an old, rusty cage. A cage should have water and food cups that can easily be cleaned and are the correct size for the bird. Perches must fit the bird's feet and be placed throughout the cage, with one in front of the food and water. Do not place the perches directly over the feeding dishes so that the bird's droppings will soil the water and food. A pull-out tray on the bottom of the cage facilitates cleaning without disturbing the bird. Cage paper or corn cob is generally used for lining. Newspaper makes a cheap lining, but use it only when there's a grate to prevent the bird from eating the ink print. Never, never use aluminum foil. The cage must be kept clean. If not, the bird cannot keep himself clean, and the dirt gets into the water and food, causing severe health problems. Perches must be cleaned often, and the seed and water dishes must be washed daily and occasionally sterilized. A few minutes a day will result in a healthy, happy bird. Care must be taken in the placement of your cage. Birds can stand extremes of heat and cold, but it's the sudden changes that do them harm. A bird loves some sunlight, but never put them in direct sun where he cannot get out of it, or outside in the wind and the sun, and or at the mercy of stray cats. The ideal room temperature is 60 to 72 degrees. It is extremely important to select a bird that's healthy. A healthy bird is alert to his surroundings. He's active and moving around. Avoid dirty vent feathers, droopy feathers, listlessness, sitting on the floor of the cage, eyes running or closed, lack of shine to his feathers, and wheezy breathing. As you can see from the bird that Steve is holding, how alert it is to its surroundings and the beautiful coloration of his feathers. His vent feathers are clean. The vent feathers are located at the base of the tail. As you can see from this bird, they're clean, and the feathers are all smooth surrounding it. Nothing can beat everyday good care to prevent illness and injuries. A bird that's fed properly always has fresh water in a clean container and lives in clean quarters, out of drafts and full sunlight, is not apt to get sick. An area of preventive care that may require the help of your veterinarian or knowledgeable pet dealer is in the clipping or trimming of wings, toenails, and beak. This bird that Steve is holding has been clipped. As you can see, for the end feathers have been removed. Wings are clipped only to prevent a bird from flying away, flying into doors and windows, injuring itself. Clip wings also assist in taming and the training process. Toenails must be clipped to prevent the bird from catching his feet on the wire cage or other impediments, thus causing broken legs and toes. Proper nutrition is very important to your bird's health. Be sure that you select a mixture individually prepared for your type of bird. When purchasing your seed, ask for assistance in the selection to ensure proper mixture. Make sure your seed is fresh and only buy a few weeks' supply because it can spoil quickly. Make sure that you store it in a cool, dry place. You can also feed your bird greens. They should be given daily, not intermittently. When given sporadically, greens often cause diarrhea because the bird overeats when given such a delicious opportunity. Fresh greens should be washed to remove insecticides. Rich, nourishing foods are carrot tops, dandelions, spinach. Celery and lettuce are low in food value. Dehydrated greens are now pre-packaged and available and are simple to feed by mixing with bird seed. Apple slices, grapes, pears are also enjoyed by all birds. Oranges should be limited due to the high acid content. You can supplement your bird's diet with vitamins. Vitamin supplements are available in several selections. Liquid vitamins can be added to the drinking water. Powdered vitamins to be added to the seed mixture or sprinkled on top of fruit. This is a preferred method of administration by veterinarians. You will want to provide a cuttle bone or a mineral block. These provide your bird with necessary calcium and beak conditioning. Health grit or sand gravel is now under controversy as to its benefits. Many veterinarians now feel that it's better not to use it. Oyster shell is a better choice and is beneficial in adding calcium to the diet. All work and no play holds true not only for man but for birds. Birds love to play and enjoy a variety of toys. Bells, ladders, chains with wood or plastic beads. Make sure that you use only toys made for birds. Birds are clever at removing and destroying items, and they could swallow or break off plastic not made especially for them. Provide variety for your birds, and they will reward you with a happy disposition. You've only had a glimpse of the many hundreds of birds available today. Your bird friends are waiting for you to find them if you haven't already done so.
We hope we've helped you make a choice a little easier and assist you in keeping your bird a happy, healthy member of your family.